Really good point. But, you know, the first time we see Nakia, she's doing a very present day task.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's a spy, but she's also liberating girls, right?
Right.
In a boy, right? So she's walking the walk in her own personal way. That's the first time you see her taking action.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wonder, like, if anyone wants to talk about that scene, because we do see Nakia jump. She's doing something so active and on her own at the beginning of the movie.
And that was specifically human trafficking, wasn't
Right.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with her, I think they really wanted to show you that, yes, she's Wakandan, but she does not need to stay in Wakanda. She feels like she was, her experiences in Wakanda, because I don't think most people realize that, but Nakia is a princess. She is the princess of the River Tribe. And she decided not to do that role. She wanted to be something different, something what she thought was more. And so with her, she's liberating these women because she understands that the way women are seen in Wakanda, especially black women, are not the same how they're seen outside. Mm-hmm. They're not the same as seen in the U.S. or in Africa or in any other country that has been colonized. I can't say that word right. I'm sorry. But so she understands that. So I think that's another thing with her, is that she doesn't just want to be this princess role. She wants to be different and more. So when I saw that, they're like, oh, because they want to give her her own story. They want to give her her own self. She's like, this isn't Wakanda, just isn't who I am. I'm more than that, and that's what I see with her.
Yeah.
For me, T'Challa actually resonated the most with me. I know that's kind of the uncool thing to say because he's the main character, but he really did, because of the simple fact that he has so much on his shoulders, and like he was operating off of what the past rulers had done, and that's generally the thing that a lot of people in power tend to do, so they don't, cause an upset. But when he found out what had gone down, he listened to his own morality, and he decided to make that type of change, a monumental change that would probably have a lot of repercussions, but a change nonetheless, and it was a necessary change, regardless of what kind of fallout would happen. And also going against what your elders taught you, because their ideologies don't fit with today's ideologies. And that's why it struck me a little bit, because for you to make that kind of decision, it's a lot to take on. And respect to T'Challa for making that kind of choice.
So go into the ancestral plane and just be like,
yeah, basically.
Sorry, but with T'Challa, he also has to realize, with him, he now has to realize that his father, the one that he hero worshipped, made bad decisions.
Yeah.
Right.
Made these really bad decisions to make this villain. And so now he has to reconcile with the fact that this man that he hero worshipped made this really bad decision to this man that is his cousin. Like Eric could have been in Wakanda, living a better life, but he did it because he wanted to be in these rules and he wanted to live these traditional thing. So he has to reconcile with the fact that his father failed in that. And that's a really good thing with T'Challa. I really did like that about him.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
And for me, it was definitely Shuri. Like from the moment that we meet her, it's obvious that she's the next generation. She's the future of Wakanda. Between all of her work in technology, and then the way that you constantly see her pushing the cultural envelope, the way that you constantly see her spoiling and playing that kind of like almost jester role of pointing out the pomp and the over ornamentation and the way that everything is just so beholden to the past. She serves as she feels like a pivot point. As much as T'Challa is the one who's going to push this moment of change, it's Shuri's generation and the people of her age and of her mindset that are really going to take that country to whatever the next stories are. Yeah. Not that we're ever going to get to see.
I love that you said that, but I have to say, as soon as you said that, all I can think is M'Baku's speech.
Oh,
That's traditional.
Yeah.
So, I think what I would say is I still, if you want to call him Killmonger, Eric, N'Jadaka, he really resonated for me. And I think that the moment, the library, or the museum scene.
Yeah.
The museum scene, to me, is so powerful. Just because if you've ever been, to really any museum, but in particular if you've been to the British Museum, it is, once you really settle into the idea that this is just the dragon's den, literally the dragon has gone throughout the planet, the globe, and stolen things and is now hoarding them and charging a lot of money for people to come and look at them. I mean, like, so once you realize that, the British Museum becomes this very scary, very icky space. And so I loved that scene. I was like, oh no. Like, as soon as they saw it, I was like, this is the British Museum. What are they going to say? And he says what I wanted to say when I was there, which was just like, you stole this. You stole all of it. And like, when you go there, they have the Rosetta Stone. And it just feels like, why do you have the Rosetta Stone? Like, that is something that humanity should own and have, possess, you know? So I just think that, for me, that moment with him was really huge. And I love, too, that you're contrasting him with Nakia. Like, our first scene with him was him taking action and what he felt like was fighting oppression, but it was by attacking the oppressor. And she was like, I'm not here to attack the oppressor, I'm here to actually sit with the people, like literally sit with the people and liberate them. And that's just like two different tactics.
Protect what you love.
And yeah, like it's a different
Like,
way.
they see power differently. She sees power in helping people. He sees power by taking control.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what was your favorite line in the movie? I'm gonna start with John at the end.
Oh, it was Killmonger's last
Yeah.
words. Because I like feeling uncomfortable. It's like you know, it's like when you've got a sore muscle, but you stretch it, and you're like, oh, that hurts, but oh, that's
It's needed.
It's needed, you gotta do it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are these?
Can we curse?
That was my question.
I
That
was-
was my
yeah.
question. Can we curse?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Any children under 13?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Have you seen the
Oh,
Good Place?
sheet metal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sheet or fork.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
shirt.
Shirt.
Oh, shirt.
Shirt, yeah. What?
Okay, so my favorite quote had to be when T'Chaka said, "You're a good man, and with a good heart, and it's hard to be a good it's hard for a good man to be a good king." So yeah, I had to write that down. But yeah, I like that. I particularly like that line because it intrigues me to see what's gonna come after this movie. Because with anybody in a political position, you can't always make the right moral decision. It's impossible, like to keep everybody happy. So that just has me excited for what we're gonna see in the next Black Panther movie because it just recently got greenlit. So yes.
I think you're forgetting Infinity War Black Panther 1.5. That's good.
Yeah. AKA Black Panther and his little friends.
For me, it's probably the funniest line in the movie is when Shuri sees Ross for the first time, and she's like, "You scared me, colonizer." Died laughing. Now, and also, it's funny experiencing that multiple times in different groups. Like when you are in a majority of a minority space, people are dying laughing. When it's a little bit more mixed, it starts to like, and then when it's just kind of an all-white space, you hear that one chuckle, that's it, and it's done. So it's just that one line. It kills me every time I see it because with Shuri, she doesn't, like you said with Shuri, she doesn't really have a filter either because she's one of those people. She's like, look, let's get this done. And so when she saw him, she's like, you care about his feelings. She's like, you're a colonizer. That's how she sees you. And I thought it was just funny as heck to me. I love it.
So you guys have already named like lines I really like. I would say, for me, I'm just gonna. I never thought about this one until we're sitting here. But when Queen Ramonda says, "Show them who you are," like I really love that line because that just to me felt like. Yeah, it's just so powerful. It's Angela Bassett, so first of all, like it's that. But it's this moment where you're like, he might have lost if she hadn't said that. Like he needs the reinforcement and the support, and he so relies on the women in his life to be there and just like bolster and push a little bit here and like muscle him right back on track. And I just feel like that is such a Black woman thing. It's a burden and it's a blessing that's a role that you get to play for people. But I think that it just was a moment where I was like, yes, that is that is, everybody has that one person, right? Who's like, I know you can be this thing, and I'm the one who will always remember it. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the visuals of the movie. If you guys could think about one, maybe two favorite images, and talk about the images of the movie, the ones that you're still sticking with you, still thinking about, or if you've seen it multiple times, you can't wait to see that moment.
For me, it's the opening, when they go right through the shield and you see Wakanda for the first time. And we're talking about going over the initial country where it's not, where there's not a city, but just going over the initial country and then you hit the city. Because you realize that, yes, they have they're advanced in technology, but they still have these farming families, these farming communities. So you can see even the farming community, they're like, this stuff isn't weird to us. They're on horses trying to race this aircraft, but just that initial scene just coming into Wakanda, and when Okoye says, we're home, I was like, oh my God, this is gorgeous. and then the waterfall fight. That whole, between Killmonger and T'Challa, well, any waterfall fight, really. All of it is just gorgeous, because just seeing all of the people on the levels the first time, and you're watching that fight, and just seeing it is just gorgeous. The way that he filmed it, the way he slowed down at certain parts. But those are the ones that really just like, let's get to it. I want to see that fight, or I want to see the opening. Those are the ones I look for.
I like that. I like the establishing shot too. Like when you first go into Wakanda and you see this place that merges nature and technology so well. And like, no, to be real, I got choked up.
Yeah.
You don't see that. You
No.
Before this movie, you don't really get to see stuff like that. Like it feels familiar yet alien in the dopest way possible. So it's
It was a
just
utopia.
yeah,
Basically,
Yeah.
at least on the surface.
Well, in Marvel, like to see that there was technology that Marvel had not shown us before. We've had a decade of Marvel technology, and Tony Stark with his things, and you're like, oh, look at his holograph, and he can touch and move around, and now you're like, okay, Shuri has some sand holograms. Let's talk about your beads, like
Let's talk about these blankets that are shields.
yes.
That was so cool! They had the blankets the whole time, and I was like, oh, I like that.
Yes, the blankets that were shields.
yes.
Yeah.
I like shields. I play a lot of tank characters.
Yeah.
Sorry, go for it.
No, yeah.
What part?
What was your part? What was
Yeah,
your
John.
part?
I am terrible because I don't remember what they were called in the movie, but it was the white gorilla tribe in the comics. Mbaku's Jabari.
Jabari.
Thank you. I like mountains. I loved when they were going up into the mountains, and we were just seeing the amount of ecological diversity and just the different environments that were part of Wakanda. And then seeing how different but still connected their city, where they lived was. And I don't know what it was. I have no idea if there's actual historical, cultural thing that they grow out of it. All those sticks hanging.
The bamboo.
Yeah. In his throne room, I
Yeah,
think we can call
yeah.
that. That was just a really cool space, really well constructed.
His throne room, which was like exposed to the elements, like,
Yeah.
and he was just like, what I
He was
couldn't get
like-
over, he's just chilling, like he has. He looks cold
Yes.
as hell
Yeah.
in there,
And
and
he-
he's got fur, but his arms are out.
Yeah.
He's like,
His
he's
thighs.
comfortable. His thighs are out. You're like, well, he looks okay.
And he was cool. You could tell if you looked.
He was not cold. He had an inner fire. Inner
Well, no, he
fire.
didn't care.
But I think another opening sequence is when the Jabari tribe initially
Mhm.
shows up.
Right.
When they
That's
come
my favorite.
out and they start doing that chanting, I was like, what is going on?
Well, the first
and then they come out, I was like,
The first time it happened, I was like, drums in the deep.
oh my god. So yeah, that was a great shot.
My favorite shot was the shot when I have two, and there's just we're talking here. At least for me, I'm talking about cinematography. Like it really, there's some really beautiful choices, and the cinematographer's name is Rachel. Does anybody know her name? She's amazing. She's worked
Always
with
like to be
Ryan
introduced.
Johnson a lot. Or Ryan Coogler, sorry, a lot. Anyway, she's brilliant. But the two scenes when we're coming out of the ship and we see T'Challa walk out and you see his back.
Rachel
And
Morrison.
then, Rachel Morrison, thank you. And then you see him step into the water. So he's coming off of this futuristic ship that's amazing. And we've seen its capabilities. and then he steps into the water, and then the scene goes up, and then you see the warrior falls and all the different tribes and all the colors and the music, and you see the bodies moving and cheering and dancing. And I was just like, to see that technology and to see the black body on display in the technology, but then to go up and see all the colors. And in that moment for me, I was just like, oh, this is black as hell. Like, I was like, they got colors, you know, they dancing, you know, like there's singing, there's joy, there's so much movement of bodies, like it's chanting, it's like liveliness, and it's all of those technology. I thought that was gorgeous. And then the other one is when Eric is on the throne and the scene flips and rotates. Like, the first time I saw that, I was like, that's kind of a cheap trick, but it's not. It's beautiful. So beautiful,
Yeah.
and it's such a good way of showing us we are in a different place now. We have now transitioned. This is not the same world. You're about to see some things that have never been probably said in this room, done in this room, and you can feel it. So then by the time he comes in, he sits down, he's half dressed. Like, I don't know if you guys
I
noticed
think
that.
he's dressed appropriately.
He's
Dress. It reminds me of like how somebody from America would
like
be
he got
in an
his, like
African
his house
film.
shoes.
It's like this is. I feel comfortable right now.
No, like he was like, I think this is dressed enough. So he comes out, he sits down,
Now-
and his chest is out, and then you have Okoye, and you can just feel the discomfort rolling off of her, like how she sits, how she talks. You're just like, she is off kilter. I just love that.
In that scene, was he already wearing the necklace?
Yeah.
Then in that case, I'm sure he felt he was perfectly dressed.
That's
He felt he was
true.
sufficiently dressed.
Yeah.
That's true. That's